guys, I'm Craig. We got Grant here tonight with us, drummer extraordinaire, and of course, Krishna, and we're going to be talking about drummers, but this time they are not involved with metal. So we're going to step outside of the metal genre and talk about our favorite drummers. So we're going to let the drummer kick it off. Who are some of your favorite dudes?
All right, I'm going to...
Or chicks, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not discriminating.
I'm going to completely go left of center here.
Nice.
Off topic. So your episode with Joe,
yes.
You were talking about comparing Necrophagist to Michael Jackson.
Yes. I wasn't, he was. Yeah.
I put the title, so.
Right.
What was the logic with that again?
You'd have to ask Joe. Joe likes to go off on his tangents.
Because I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan.
He was somehow trying to tie it together. I wasn't quite buying it, but I was enjoying his take on it. So I couldn't replicate his logic behind it.
I just remember that being the thing I took away from it. I couldn't remember. So okay.
Yeah,
all right,
so
never mind.
We'll have Joe comment at the end of this episode what the link is.
Enlighten me, Joe.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Okay. So non-metal drummers.
Yes.
Every drummer needs to at least Google Billy Copeland.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Billy Copeland?
I'm not.
What about you?
No.
I'm not a drummer though, so
Are
I
you
get
familiar
a break.
with Mahavishnu Orchestra?
Yes.
Oh, he was with John McLaughlin, he was
the drummer for that.
Okay.
He drummed on Bitches Brew,
Okay.
the Miles Davis album, which had two drummers, one in stereo, or each in stereo.
So left channel, right channel?
Different drummer on each side of your headphones.
I did not know that.
But his stuff with George Duke and his solo albums paved the way for Danny Carey, a bunch of other people on my list. But he's the fusion drummer.
Yeah.
Everybody follows after Billy Cobb. He was pure thrash metal, but all in a jazz context, which is what you combine the jazz with the furious drumming and you get fusion.
Yeah.
And that's been the pinnacle for me. Is Billy Cobb is unreal, man. He's especially at a time where I guess jazz music outside of the Miles Davis sphere was pretty safe, I guess, for the most part. And then Billy Cobb just blew it wide open, man. Just no dampening on any of the toms. Everything way up here. Left-handed drummer playing on a right-handed kit, like Lombardo.
Yeah.
Just blew all the doors
There's
off
something
everything.
about that. There's something about the lefty playing on the right-handed kit. Just
exactly.
They're able to do things that clearly, right?
For sure.
That other people can't replicate.
Yep.
So.
And George Duke, my favorite keyboard player of all time. He played with Zappa. He had a whole solo career in and of itself. But George Duke and Billy Cobb and they put a band together. And man, it's just, even if you're a metalhead, check out that album.
Yeah.
And it's only a live album.
Okay.
Live in 1976.
See, I knew that the drummer, he'd come up with some deep cuts for this, so.
I'll show you guys some of his stuff after this, and you'll be like, that's not jazz. But at the same time, he's very in the funk stuff, and you know Thundercat?
Yes.
His brother is a Billy Cobb protege.
Oh, okay.
Ronald Bruno Jr., and he's just Billy Cobb incarnate, basically. So his legacy has lived far and beyond his time, for sure.
Right on.
So I would definitely say him.
Okay.
Next one.
Good pick.
Bill Bruford.
Yes.
From Yes.
Yes.
From Genesis.
It's literally Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Genesis. His solo project, Earthworks.
Wait,
jazz.
Genesis? What Genesis album? Do you know?
It was after Peter Gabriel left and before Phil Collins switched full time to drums.
Okay.
So it was a live only thing.
Okay.
I don't believe he played on any albums.
Okay, that was what was confusing me because I love Genesis, and I was like, but
I don't believe he played on any albums studio wise.
Okay.
But there were definitely times when him and Phil Collins would set up the dual drum sets and whatnot.
Okay.
And when you want to talk about Danny Carey and everything, everything Danny Carey got was from Bill Bruford.
Yeah. Okay.
Those pads that he uses are updated versions of the Simmons.
Well, see, I didn't know that, but I did know from an interview that Genesis was a big influence on Danny Carey, and you can hear it in the music too. So.
If you look at Bill Bruford's drum kit, same kind of cymbals. They're arranged in the same way, like ride cymbal way up high. All of it's the same. Then you have the electronic pads down below. It's all Bill Bruford.
Huh. Okay.
And if you watch any of the late '90s, early 2000s interviews with Danny Carey, it's all Man, I took it all from Bill Bruford, man. And they used the same electronic pads until Danny developed his own little fancy electronic stuff. And every Yes album is just fantastic, dude. And then all of his stuff with King Crimson. Like, Bill Bruford is the King Crimson drummer until Gavin Harrison took over.
Pretty
but
much, yeah.
Discipline is just, oh man, like if you love Tool, you gotta love King Crimson because it's all the same. It's very rhythmic based. The guitar player, you're not getting wanky solos or anything like that. As much as I love it, but it's all, it's all in groups of some rhythmic structure.
Right.
I feel like King Crimson kind of writes this line between like Alan Parsons almost.
Yes.
You know, so like
kind
of reminds me of more or less.
You got some like Holdsworth.
Yeah, exactly.
Holdsworth kind of took that atonal aspect of it, and even like 21st Century Schizoid Man. That's a heavy song.
Yep.
Like that's. I guess that was before Working Man, right? I guess, right?
Is it that old? I don't think so.
I'm not sure on the timeline.
It was
pretty close. I'd say that.
Late 60s,
like pretty close.
early 70s for sure. But yeah, Bill Bruford.
Somebody tell us.
Yeah.
In terms of bringing electronic drums into the mainstream of rock music, Bill Bruford's the guy.
Right
the guy even played an entire electronic kit in an acoustic jazz band.
Oh, well, dick.
Which, yeah, exactly. Even drummers would be like, oh, screw that guy. You gotta have the acoustic drums for jazz, like no electronics. But he looked at it more of as a way to contribute melodically. So he'd have his drums, and then he'd program all of his pads to be keyboards, something like that. Which is
that's just too much.
it's too much. You have to be one of those guys that is the band leader.
Yeah.
Everything comes from that. So that's where I'll conclude the Bill Bruford thing.
Okay.
And then it's got to be Neil Peart.
Neil Peart, yeah.
Neil Peart.
Right.
I guess it's
Rush
Peart.
fans, yell at us, whatever.
It's Peart.
Peart.
Yeah. Peart.
Like Krishna, all you Krishnas out there, whatever.
But he's the guy that played. I mean, every little kid that heard those fills and Tom Sawyer, YYZ,
dude, he's
all of it.
He's the king. Like literally, like I pretty much think everybody just bows down and recognizes like just the brilliance of that
and
guy.
The lyricism come on, you know, that's just a whole other. No drummer has written lyrics, basically, you know. So
it's like those guitar players who talk about when they heard Van Halen for the first time.
Yeah.
For drummers, it's Neil Peart. That's our Van Halen.
Yeah.
And
exactly. That's it. That's a good analogy too.
Our first segment covered enough of that, and anything I'm gonna say is gonna be well overshadowed by any of that man's legacy, and I hope one day to at least accomplish a grain of sand compared to his hourglass full of accomplishments.
Yeah.
of course.
So yeah, Neil Peart for sure. All right.
That's 4, right?
Yep, that's 3.
3. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4, Ginger Baker.
Ginger. I thought about putting Ginger on my list.
He was I was kind of late to the party, but he was one of those guys that went off to Africa and started the African rhythms. And while everybody was playing on 2 and 4, like Sunshine of Your Love, it's 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And they were talking about
which is why I like it, because it actually makes it heavier.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does actually.
And the record label was talking about, we can't have anything like that. That goes against the norm. And then look what happens.
Yeah. Well, he was a wild man.
Oh, for sure.
Like that. He was out there,
a drunk.
Yeah.
Talked about
a mystic, like he was
playing fucking 300 BPM swing, high on heroin.
Yeah.
Just, one of the. He's like Ozzy.
Yeah.
Where he lived so long and way past his time. Like he died, I think 2 years ago.
Something like that. I know it was fairly recently.
And there were times when he would walk up on stage and would pass out before he got to the drum rising.
Yeah.
And yet he would get up there and I remember the last reunion with Cream, and he had his Toad drum solo, which is 15 minutes of just drums. And this is at Royal Albert Hall, and it's just Ginger Baker. Right. He plays a 15-minute drum solo.
Damn.
And the entire time, at what age? 75 at least?
Yeah, something like that.
And the whole crowd is just...
Yeah. Well, he was definitely like a one-off. There will only ever be like one Ginger Baker.
Yeah. There really will, because... And he's famously quoted as saying, like, John Bonham couldn't swing to save his ass.
Yeah.
He was a very polarizing
Oh, yeah.
He hated everybody that wasn't Ginger Baker or
Right.
Buddy Rich, basically.
Yeah.
But the way he incorporated the African rhythms and whatnot and broke the convention of just pop 2 and 4 drumming and everything like that,
Right.
with Eric Clapton, with Jack Bruce, it's like Rush. You're never going to get that power trio again.
Nah.
You're never going to get whatever that was again.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of metal drummers, especially ones who like to use toms instead of just straight ahead grooves and everything, that's Ginger Baker, man.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You can't go back to anybody else.
Right.
Even John Bonham, you can't name one of his grooves. It was toms only.
Right. No, it's true.
All right, the last one. I'm going a classic rock double vote.
Okay.
Alex Van Halen.
Nice. Okay.
Stewart Copeland.
Ah, there it is. So, why Alex?
Have you heard Hot for Teacher?
No, I have.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just trying to play devil advocate because I love.
Oh, for sure.
I love Van Halen.
It's just one of those things where it's just so
and he's
obvious.
great. Yeah.
You hear Hot for Teacher and you hear about. I watched another VH1 Behind the Music about Van Halen.
Yeah.
Talking about how
watched it too.
before they did any originals, they had like 500 cover songs in their catalog. You know, Jump.
Oh yeah.
One take.
Yeah.
The whole band. Alex Van Halen was solid, dude, every time. And the big giant drum set and everything, that's Van Halen started that.
Yeah.
Like Terry Bozzio and all that with multiple bass drums and everything. Van Halen had a fire extinguisher drilled into his middle bass drum.
Yeah.
And rototoms, which I absolutely love. That's what I use at this point. That's all Van Halen.
I don't understand how someone like Terry Bozzio just could like tour with that kind of drum kit.
Yeah.
Like, logistics. That's such a logistic problem.
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly, so.
But
I think Joe should get a kit like that.
Yeah. Why?
That's great picks.
And then Stewart Copeland.
Yeah.
What do you got to say about Stewart Copeland, man? Nobody can play like him. There's a reason the Police broke up when they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't. And then he also, like Ginger Baker, went to Africa.
Yeah, I knew that.
Made a whole documentary and everything, and then came back and they did that Police reunion tour in Japan. And it was like 2008, and you watch that, and they're better than ever.
Exactly. Yep.
Have you ever watched Stewart Copeland's YouTube channel?
No.
There's a video where he got Neil Peart.
I did watch one of his drum instructional videos.
Okay, yeah, this is a different thing where he has a whole studio full of percussion equipment and brass instruments and everything, and he brings all these famous people in and records a jam. So it's Neil Peart on drum kit, Danny Carey on drum kit, Les Claypool playing bass, Stewart Copeland playing percussion and saxophone. And there's another video where Stewart Copeland's playing percussion and Ginger Baker's playing this insane African polyrhythm. And you can tell he's about to die. He's about to keel over. And still this music is coming out of him, and he's playing these things that players today would look at and be like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when you talk about Indian rhythms.
Yeah.
Like people can't comprehend it. When they hear it, they understand that something's off.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with African rhythms.
Well,
it's a very familiar to a certain degree, but when you really delve into it, it brings the culture really starts to speak through the drumming, which is really cool.
And if you like, the reason why it is the way it is because like Western music, it's all like, 2/4, like 2 and 4. So that's
Stewart
how.
Copeland was 1 and 3.
Yeah, 1 and 3. There you go. So like and if you look at most of the Eastern music, right, it's never like a linear thing. It's always like very skewed.
Yep.
So whether if you look at Indian traditional rhythms, right, it's all over the place. But then they're still in the pocket. Like if you start counting, it's like you feel like it's in 4, but it's not really.
Yeah.
It's like in some like a small subdivisions of like a 16th or something. That's kind of wacky to me. And then whenever drummers kind of go out of their way to explore these little things, that kind of puts a little bit more punch.
And like Walking on the Moon,
oof.
that song still to this day is.
Da, 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 and then like there's a back
the delay. What other drummers do you know that are using modulation on their drum kit?
Yeah.
That's so cool to me. It's when you feel, because drums being a solely acoustic instrument for the most part, unless you put a microphone on them. It's all these other drummers that I love that took the electronic elements and instead of using them as a cliche just to trigger electronic drum sounds, they found some other way. either they'd use it to play melody, or like Stewart Copeland, he'd implement effects to fill in the gaps.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
that was
these super cool things.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's amazing. That's a good pick. And even Stewart Copeland, yeah, actually he's on my list as well.
Yeah.
My number 5, like, I mean, this is in no particular order really, but one of my favorite Police songs has got to be I Can't Stop Losing You, because it just throws you out of nowhere, because until then it's like it's so weird. And then if you look at like the first half of the song, like or the first few seconds, it's all like he's doing that, like immediately it goes to like a reggae beat. Like how did you go from there to here? Yeah, exactly.
It's all the upbeats, which throws everybody off, but it's still so comfortable and familiar.
And like there's this, I think we are talking about the same documentary, but like the title is like Stewart Copeland, how to explore a backbeat. Like that's what it's called. Yeah. So it's like an hour-long video that I watched, and then I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting, So and just look at Roxanne. Like apparently there was like a story behind Roxanne where the production, the label was like, this is very Jamaican, like those kind of things. Nobody
the stairs on 4.
But then exactly, and then the syncopation of Police is just too much.
Yep.
And if you listen to like Synchronicity, it's like it's dialed to the maximum.
Yeah.
So that's just So Stewart Copeland has got to be number 5.
Oh, for sure.
And number 4 for me has to be Roger Taylor from Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And
good pick.
Like a Rototom guy.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So and just his work on some songs like Innuendo, or the lesser known, less popular ones. I would say maybe like, Radio Gaga. I mean, Radio Gaga is really popular, but you get my point, right? So like, very memorable drum beats, and also like him singing at the same time, like operatic singing. It's just I think Roger Taylor is a little bit like not recognized as much as Freddie Mercury is, because he's the front man,
or Brian May.
It's like what's his name from played bass in Van Halen, Michael Anthony.
Oh, Michael Anthony, yeah.
David Lee Roth doesn't shine as much.
Well, Michael Anthony is, even though he's playing kind of like straight ahead bass lines, which he is, but
that voice.
He's a great bass player, but he is one of the absolute best harmony vocalists.
Yeah. He really is.
In rock ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. Yep. Like, you could not replace him just because of that.
No.
Like,
they never, I mean, I guess Van Halen's son did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and I don't want to knock him, it's fine, but you cannot replace Michael Anthony. Like, the guy is irreplaceable, because not only is it his playing, but it's his voice.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
it's like, you just, it wouldn't be the same. Like, in a lesser way, it'd be kind of like Alice in Chains, like
without
Jerry Cantrell and his vocals.
Exactly.
So, but please continue.
Number 3 would have to be, I mean, I don't remember his last name, but like it's Phil from Motorhead.
Oh, Filthy Taylor?
Filthy Animal?
Filthy Animal.
And people might say like Motorhead is like metal, but then like, if you really think about it, they were a punk rock band first, So like, that's why I would I was a little conflicted.
They're one of those bands that skates that line where it's like, but people in the punk scene love them, people in the metal scene love them.
Yeah, exactly.
And they both look at them, it's like metalheads are like, no, they're metal, punks are like, no, they're punk.
Yeah.
But they're both right.
Yeah,
It's like they walk that line.
And then the reason why he's my favorite is because he practically invented double bass.
Yeah.
So Overkill. So that was the first time I heard it. And I mean, I didn't really have a concept of double bass, because my roots are in like rock and roll, classic rock. Like that's how I started listening to Western music to begin with.
Right.
And then once I switched to Motorhead, like things kind of just like went crazy. And then Overkill was the first Motorhead song that I heard, like,
oh wow,
period. So not even Ace of Spades. So then I was like, okay, what is this? Like, what is this technique even?
Yeah.
And that's number 3 for him. And number 4 has got to be. He's an Indian drummer. His name is Gino Banks, and I'm actually really. I wish there would be a point where I can get to collaborate with him, because he does collaborations with a bunch of people, and very tight drummer. And then
who's somebody he's played with?
Guthrie Govan. Actually,
okay.
So Guthrie Govan came to India on a tour, and then he was like filling in for a drummer.
What about Anoop Sastry?
Anup
He's another
Shastri,
Indian
he's
drummer,
yes,
right?
yeah, but then he's more of a metal drummer.
Yeah.
He's a modern metal drummer.
He's more
so
of a Tesseract.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, he has played with Marty Friedman, like all these people.
Sure.
But Anup Shastri, I like him, but there's only one complaint. Like it's too
Stiff.
machiny. Yeah, like like
They call it anus pastry.
anus pastry. Yeah, exactly. That's what they call. Yeah, that's what they call him. And
He always plays with the hood up.
oh
Which
yeah,
is like
yeah.
the traditional
Exactly. I mean, he's a good
genty
guy.
thing to do.
He's a good guy. Don't get me wrong.
He's a
but
fantastic drummer.
yeah, but it's just that like the tone of the drum kit, it's like
Yeah.
too like you know what I'm talking about when you
Sterile.
overcompress the snare
Yeah.
drum, like that kind of sound. I don't like it.
It's a
But
periphery drum.
yeah,
mix.
exactly. And my number one has to be Gavin Harrison. You know, from
I don't know why I didn't
Porcupine
pick
Tree,
him.
Yeah, Porcupine, and then people again. This is where Porcupine Tree kind of toes this line where is it metal? Is it not metal? I mean, I don't think it's metal. Porcupine Tree is definitely like a prog band.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
But they do metal things.
Yeah.
But
They have heavy elements.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And Gavin Harrison himself, like he has played with like Nick Johnston. He has done like a bunch of things
Yeah.
with different people. So and then especially with Nick Johnston, when I heard his album, like
So
the drum grooves are simple. It's
Yep.
like really simple. But that's my whole thing about musicians. Like now, how do you measure somebody who is
And also, as the non-musician in this group, like I
Yeah.
want to say, like
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said for simplicity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
of course.
Is that
It takes a lot more effort to perfect that.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like it's always super impressive to me to see guys performing at the top of their game and doing complex stuff. I love that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, but there is a lot to be said for someone that can just nail a fundamental
Like Alex Van
Yeah.
Halen.
and
You know what I
do
mean?
it like just perfectly well. And some people may be like, yeah, but it's harder to do this. It's
Yep.
like, well, maybe it might be harder to do something more complex, but harder does not equal better.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
it is like what's going to be more memorable. And if like a straight 4/4 is more memorable in a section, there's no shame in doing it. It's kind of like a power chord.
Yeah,
It's like,
pretty
look,
much.
you can be like Yngwie
Yeah.
Malmsteen all day, or
Yeah.
you playing like Animals as leaders, like super technical stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
Not dogging it.
Yeah.
But there is also something to be said for,
Yeah.
like Rrust,
Yeah.
being able to tie it in on Working Man and just having that fucking power chord that just hits.
Yeah.
And to me, like a really good writer is someone that knows when to put in that simple part.
Yeah.
It's what you
and
don't
be
play.
able
Like, I
to-
mean, look
to
at
have
look
it.
at
do
Stewart
play.
Copeland, right? Like something like Message in the Bottle, very simple drum beat, but
Yeah.
then it's like it sticks with you.
It
Yep.
works.
And it
you
works,
know.
and
Nobody
yeah,
else could have played that
nobody
part.
could- Yeah, absolutely. So that's what are your picks? For the
So Stewart Copeland's on my list too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not the biggest Police fan, mainly because I always felt that Sting was kind of a douche.
Yeah.
And,
He's
Buzz
very
feels problem.
he's very like over pompous guy. Like
Yeah.
He's your typical frontman.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
and then not just that. Like I mean, he's an amazing songwriter. Of course, he can
Yeah.
he can
Yeah,
change
yeah.
keys and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then like
He's a jazz player.
he's a
He
jazz
played
player.
upright bass.
But then, like, if you look at the things that he has done in his life, is like 41, room mansion. Like, come
Yeah.
on, really, how hard are you flexing?
Well, and I
you
do
know,
love like some Police stuff, but I'm not like a completist where it's like, oh, all
Yeah,
their
yeah,
albums
for
and
sure,
stuff
yeah.
like that. And for me,
Agreed.
when I was younger, a selling point was seeing a live concert of theirs, and I don't remember what one because this was like many years ago.
Yeah.
But seeing a live video of them and getting to see Stewart kind of go off where he'd be adding different stuff that wasn't on the records.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
That's what you go to the show for.
That's badass.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was like keyed in. I was like, oh, he's really good. And the little stuff that he would add in that would be like deceptively complex
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
like that. That really hooked me. And it's like clearly he was on a different level than the other rock drummers from that period.
Yeah.
For
He
sure.
was doing
Exactly.
different stuff. So that
Even Neil Peart took stuff
no.
from him.
Yeah, and just
What does
'cause
that tell you,
he was like
you
a
know?
really unique player.
Yeah.
So and to me, like I think he was the best part of the Police.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah,
So-
of course. I mean, Andy Summers is also like.
No, yeah,
he's the
the-
unsung hero.
most-
You know?
They're all
Like
really-
Alex Rice.
Yeah,
Alex
pretty
Rice.
They're all really
Yeah.
good musicians and songwriters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even though I don't like Sting, like I totally like respect like his abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think even though they're all really good, I feel like he was a little bit better.
For
That's
sure.
just my opinion.
Agreed.
One quick thing. The one drummer that I forgot to mention was, I think it's pronounced like Kaluta, something like that.
Vinny Colaiuta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played with Sting, right?
Yep.
And then I heard the song 7 Days,
Yep.
most famous. And I'm just like, how? You know, it's so tasty, like the
Fields
way
of
that
Gold?
Fields of Gold even, yeah. So it's very smooth. Like, I mean, put Sting aside, but then I'm talking about him.
Didn't he have a song called Desert? Is Desert Rose the album?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Fields of Gold was on?
No, that's a Desert
Or is
Rose.
that a different album?
Yeah, Fields of
Okay.
Gold was on 10 Sumner's Tales. Or
Oh,
something
okay,
like that.
gotcha.
And Desert Rose was some other album. I don't know.
I'm gonna go obvious for my next two. Neil Peart.
Yeah.
You know, clearly he's the king. So
Yep.
not a whole lot I can say that I haven't
We have
already.
spoken
That's the
enough.
problem.
Yeah, we have
It's
discussed,
like, but yeah, it's like, you know, dude was the shit.
Yep.
And like you could just listen to anything.
Bowed out gracefully.
Yeah.
Anything.
Did everything right.
Anything that he did was just amazing. And so long live Neil and long live Rush.
All right.
And then the other like super obvious one is Bonham. Is for me
Hell
is
yeah.
like again, I personally think that he was the best part of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And you know, I really like that dynamic of that he was a basher, like he was
Yep.
a bruiser, and he
Yeah.
brought the power to
Yeah.
Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And you know that combined with like the Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, they're great, you know, but you know it's like they were not heavy.
There's a reason
Bonham
they didn't
was
continue after
Yeah.
he died.
Yeah.
You know?
And
What's your favorite Bonham performance?
hard to say. Like I just go to like my favorite like Zeppelin songs because it's hard for me to like separate, because like
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, for example, when you say Bonham, immediately you think of When the Levee Breaks.
Yeah.
Because of the whole, drum intro.
Yeah.
That's more of a
But-
production thing than a
Yeah,
playing
that's a
thing.
production thing, but I would say something like Good Times, Bad Times, that song.
Yeah.
Because
So hard to play
because,
correctly.
Because the way he's
Yes.
there's a gap in between the riffs,
Yep.
and then he's doing that like those kind of like triplet with his kick basically.
well, even like for me, like rock and roll, like how it starts with that drum bit.
Yeah.
Is even though it's straight ahead, it's not. It's like a little off because like if you listen to like
It's
people
so
try
hard to play.
if you listen
perfectly.
to people cover it, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
no, that's
exactly.
not quite.
that's not right.
Not
quite,
Like
yeah.
it's not. Whatever he did,
Yeah.
like he there was something little that he was doing that it was like no, that's just him.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Rick Beato?
Yeah.
He did a video where he quantized Bonham's drum parts
Oh wow. I didn't know
and
that.
played them back and forth, and he was just like, "There's no comparison."
Yeah. Yeah.
That says a lot about modern recording.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you would record a Bonham to a click, there would be no Bonham.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. And,
It's 'cause-
it's like I've actually even heard like some musicians like slag Zeppelin because they're not in time and stuff. And to be fair, they weren't. But
Fuck off.
it's like to me it's an
blues.
irrelevant like conversation
Yeah.
because it's like they were in time with each other.
Yeah.
And even though they weren't like perfectly on with a click, it's never distracting. And if at that point it's like, well, what the fuck does it matter?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It adds like a little bit of a different swing to it.
Yeah.
And then look, I'm a big fan of like being on the click.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's
Yeah.
like, but like I don't think that's like a sole metric for
Yeah.
deciding if
No.
someone is good or bad.
It's not
Slayer wouldn't have
detrimental-
been what Slayer was
Yeah.
if they had recorded to a metric.
It's not detrimental to anything, I feel like it's more like talking. So
Yeah.
whenever you like say a sentence out loud, you don't say I'm going to speak like this. You don't do that.
Right.
You just speak. So
Yeah.
some words are stretched too long. Some are too like. That's the kind of a comparison that I would draw when it comes to recording with a click. So yes, it's like a good guideline, but you can just
Yeah.
completely fuck it up.
Well, I tie it into literature. Like I love to read.
Yeah.
And like one of my all-time favorite authors is Salman Rushdie.
Ah.
I think he's like absolutely one of the greatest
Yeah.
authors that ever lived. And there are times where he is not grammatically correct.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah, of
Because
course.
what he's constructing is
Yeah.
so evocative and so
Yeah.
sticks in your head
Yeah.
that you could be like, well, actually, that's not proper sentence structure. Fuck off.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, no, it's like
more of
the
like
guy's
emotion.
an artist.
Yeah, you're
it's
expressing
like,
an emotion.
it doesn't matter. Now, I'm not saying that people should be intentionally bad with their grammar,
No,
and that's another thing that'll
Yeah.
drive me insane.
Like these noisecore bands.
Yeah,
Are like, come on,
and it's
yeah.
kind of like bands that can't be bothered to be on time. It's like, Dick, I know you're like
Yeah.
you're not on. It's like, but it's different. It's like if you're talking about someone that's in control of what they're doing, but they're just kind of like coloring outside the lines.
Yeah.
That to me is different than someone that just can't pull it off. You know, so I
Yeah,
guess
for sure.
that's the distinction I would make on that.
Yeah.
My next pick, and it was kind of a tough. This was a tough category for me because I'm not as well versed in drummers as you guys are. But I do really like the next drummer, Mitch Mitchell.
Oh, dude.
Okay,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I actually kind of forgot
He's up
about
there with Ginger Baker.
yeah, like the stuff that he did with Hendrix is amazing. And
even Hendrix band was also the same as Zeppelin, like
Yeah.
not recording to a click and all that. And then just if you listen to certain grooves like Foxy Lady or something, it's
Right.
just like right there,
Machine Gun?
Yeah.
Machine Gun is
And Mitch Mitchell was a jazz drummer.
Yeah.
That he brought into his band.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, so he was badass.
Every innovation is bringing a jazz drummer into a different context.
Right.
I swear.
Now you playing death metal, now transitioning into softer music. Now you're doing the opposite.
That's right, yeah. And then my last pick is kind of out of left field, but I wanted to like pick something that I knew that no one else would.
Yeah.
But Chuck Biscuits. He was the legendary punk drummer that drummed for Black Flag, DOA, and Bad Brains for a short stint.
He's the punk drummer.
And then he went on and he was the drummer for the classic First Four Danzig albums.
Oh.
And
Wow.
he was
good pick.
He was unique in the punk scene because he was an accomplished drummer. Not accomplished like he wasn't a jazz drummer or anything like that, but it's like he brought a different feel to it, and he was a really hard hitter. And so like when you listen to those bands and you don't think about it, all of their iconic albums have Chuck Biscuits on drums.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the fact that he did like the First Four Danzig albums, which to me are like classic, is like he is just one of my favorite drummers. Not quite metal, much more like on the punk side, but much more accomplished than most punk drummers
For sure.
that are just doing like straight ahead
He's
beats.
probably the most accomplished punk
I
drummer.
would say so.
I would say, yeah. Wow, that was a good pick.
So those are our non-metal drummers. Check some stuff out. Please mention anybody that you guys think that we missed in the comments.
For sure.
And fucking check out Grant's mini bands and check out Krishna's side project.
You're listening to Warlord Radio Podcast. Please hit like and subscribe at the bottom.